Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. My name is Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And it's in the month of April now, and this is our career unit for the month of April. We're talking about possible vocations that you might consider. There are many different kinds of jobs you might look forward to having, but the one we're talking about today doesn't work with people so much as it does animals. Okay, maybe you would like to be a veterinarian.
Not really. But I'm sure glad we have them. It's a very lucrative career. Lucrative meaning you can make a lot of money. And people love their pets, and so they're willing to pay a lot of money to get them fixed. I've seen some vets, though, that aren't always very honest, let's say. So be careful who you take your pet to. Make sure that they really can help them. I think if an animal's in a lot of pain, it's probably better to let them go. Let them go back to heaven.
To put them down, as we often say. And as we're going to find out in today's lesson, the pay that veterinarians receive isn't necessarily great. You might be able to make some money if you specialize, but we'll talk about that later on. The process of becoming a veterinarian, at least here in Taiwan. So let's get to it. Let's find out about this career to be a veterinarian, or a vet for short. Let's read through the entire contents of our lesson right now, and we'll be right back.
Many young children have aspirations of becoming a veterinarian when they grow up. To an outsider, being a vet sounds like a dream. Playing with cute cats all day and being a hero to sick dogs. In reality, the life of a veterinarian is not easy. It is a challenging profession that requires hard work and devotion. Most people are aware that vets diagnose diseases, give vaccines, and perform surgeries. However, their duties also include more challenging tasks, such as euthanizing animals and dealing with cases of animal abuse. So, what does it take to pursue a career in the veterinary field? A vet's primary characteristic is a deep and abiding love of animals. Veterinarians need compassion when dealing with injured animals and anxious pet owners. They also require a keen eye for detail and steady hands when examining animals. Alongside this, veterinarians must maintain their vast knowledge of many different species biology. Science is constantly evolving, so veterinarians need a strong work ethic to keep their skills up to date. There are many challenges that must also be considered. The first hurdle is actually getting into a veterinary program. In Taiwan, only 4 universities offer veterinary courses. The limited spaces make it incredibly difficult to start the journey toward becoming a vet. After completing their studies, veterinary students must become licensed. The license examination is notoriously difficult. In 2022, the pass rate was only 47.22%. The challenges don't end there. Low salaries, long hours, and rude or abusive pet owners all await veterinarians after they become qualified. However, the different specialties within veterinary sciences, such as wildlife and livestock, give veterinarians many exciting career paths to explore. A career with animals can be wonderfully rewarding. If you are passionate, the hardship is worth it.
Okay, let's talk about the contents of today's lesson. It's our career unit, and the career we're talking about is becoming a veterinarian, which means an animal doctor, and sometimes we call them vets for short. And it's often a problem that this word vet gets confused with another kind of vet, veterans, who are men and women who used to serve in the military, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, etc., etc. After they get out, they are a veteran. And sometimes we shorten that to vet. I'm a vet of World War II, for example, you could say. So you probably will be able to tell the difference based on context. So yes, indeed, someone will be talking about taking their cat to a vet, well, they're probably going to a veterinarian. They're not going to a veteran to have the veteran shoot it with their M16 rifle or whatever.
Yeah. With their military weapon.
Okay, so here in the first part of the lesson, we've got the first paragraph. It says, Many young children have aspirations of becoming a veterinarian when they grow up. Now, if you have an aspiration, that means you have this desire or this dream for the future. The verb is to aspire, which I guess is the name of a computer, I guess produced here in Taiwan. But aspiration here, of course, again, is the noun form of the verb to aspire. And again, that's having some kind of ambition for the future. You want to achieve something in the future. You might have an aspiration to become a politician, for example.
And this is something they dream of becoming as they are young and grow up. Now, to an outsider, being a vet sounds like a dream. Playing with cute cats all day, being a hero to sick dogs. I've known some veterinarians personally, so I consider it to be very different in the United States, at least. It's kind of a cushy job, meaning it's kind of laid back, easier than having a mean boss who is whipping you, for 10 hours a day. Get busy. Stop messing around. They usually set their own hours. And an outsider is someone who isn't like an expert or someone who works within some sort of industry or field. They're simply looking in from the outside, and that's what it looks like to them. But as all of us know, once you actually get into something, you discover it's different than you expected it to be, right? And that's true of a lot of different occupations or jobs.
Yeah, I can mention my sister as an example. At one time, she was thinking of becoming a veterinarian, but somebody reminded her, well, part of your duties will be to put animals to sleep, like cats and dogs and things like that,
That's
and she
sad.
didn't like hearing that.
No.
And then also, we knew the veterinarian in my small town, my hometown, and he told us some stories about having to take care of farmers' cows and sticking his hand inside them and things like that. It sounded kind of gross. So, yes, you better know what you're doing. But yes, if you're an outsider, if you don't know anything about veterinarians, then you'll think, oh, it's wonderful. I get to play with cute cats and friendly dogs, and that's the kind of job it will be. It will be really cushy, really simple, really relaxed, and I won't have to work really hard. But in reality, the life of a veterinarian is not easy. Like a lot of jobs, this one's probably quite tough, especially if you're dealing with the lives of animals, just like doctors have pretty difficult jobs as well.
Yeah, if someone's not feeling well, whether it's a human being, a child, or an animal, they're not at their best, right? They're usually angry or distrustful. It's hard to deal with them. And that's when vets see the animals. They usually don't see the animals when they're all happy and doing well. So it's kind of tough to work with these sick pets, and their owners are worse. They're always very upset. Some get abusive and yell at the vet if he can't or she can't fix or heal the dog. So in reality, it's not what a lot of people think of the life of a vet as being. So easy and, I just get to play with cute animals. No, it's a challenging profession. So when you pick a profession, you're picking a field to go into that you work in. Usually we use profession when we're talking about a field that probably required some training. Maybe you had to go to school for a while for that particular field, or you needed a certificate, or you had to get a license to practice. So it's challenging, it's not easy, and requires hard work and devotion. But I think a lot of people who decide to become veterinarians do indeed love animals.
Indeed, and of course, I'm sure a lot of them enjoy it. Otherwise, they wouldn't go through the process of taking tests and going to school and having practice and what do you call those?
Internships.
Internships, indeed, where they go to some kind of farm or something to get more experience.
Their help, yeah.
I'm sure they enjoy it quite much, and of course, we should respect the jobs that veterinarians do.
Sure.
But most people are aware that vets diagnose diseases. So here, diagnose diagnose is the verb. It just means they take a look at the symptoms of a given animal, a cat, a dog, a cow, a goat, or whatever, and then they try to determine exactly what's wrong with the animal. They diagnose diseases. They determine what the diseases that the animal has. They give vaccines. Yes, indeed, animals do require shots from time to time. And they also perform surgeries. Sometimes, of course, an animal has a problem that can't be solved with just medicine or therapy. They actually have to cut the animal open. They have to perform surgery to remove a tumor or whatever.
Yeah, maybe the cat swallowed something. That happens quite often. It's kind of sad. Dogs sometimes eat things they're not supposed to because they'll eat anything if you leave it out. I wanted to mention, guys, don't forget that surgeries, when we talk about I'm having surgery, you don't ever say I'm having a surgery. So surgeries here just means different kinds of surgery, but typically it's non-count. Operation is countable. So, yeah, my vet is performing an operation on my cat this weekend or my dog, but remember to be careful with those. However, it says their duties also include more challenging tasks, and this is a tough one for anybody, especially who loves animals. They have to euthanize animals sometimes. So sometimes it's just not possible for that cat or dog to heal and, return to their normal life, especially as they get older. It's almost impossible once they start getting, tumors, and because our dog got cancer and then he went blind and he couldn't hear, and it was just awful for him. If you euthanize an animal, you're putting it to death. Usually they give it an injection and it just goes to sleep and it dies that way. But that's a tough part of the job.
Yep, it's a humane way of killing animals. They don't feel any pain. And they also, of course, have to deal with cases of animal abuse. That's the noun form here. Abuse means when somebody treats something else or someone else in a crude and violent way. So, of course, unfortunately, people do beat their animals. They treat them badly. They leave them out in cold weather and things like that. Those would be examples of animal abuse. So what does it take to pursue a career in the veterinary field? Yeah, what does it take? What do you need to do? We'll find out in just a couple of minutes. But right now, we're going to take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.Hello
everyone, 我是派老师。今天讲解的是4月17号 Unit 8 It takes sweat to be a vet. A look at the lives of veterinarians. 这是一份篇章结构的练习题，内容跟兽医相关。不晓得我们的听众当中有多少人希望成为兽医？如果这是你的志愿，你是否了解兽医其实并不轻松？很多时候我们对职业了解不够深入，就可能在日后实现理想的时候遇到挫折，就容易打退堂鼓。今天这篇题目带我们认识兽医这个职业，到底成为兽医具备哪些条件，在职业生涯当中又必须面对哪些挑战。好，我们一起来解题吧。在开始解题前，老师想跟大家强调，答题的时候一定要先看4个选项，心中有个大致的印象，有哪些句子可以用，甚至于粗略的把这4个选项稍微排序一下。有些选项句子本身就提供线索，看起来比较像是在文章的前中后哪一段。另外，篇章结构最重要的就是回填的句子要和前后文连贯，在文意上概念要承先启后。请大家谨记前后连贯、文意通顺这8字真言。好，我们先一起看第一题。前文提到很多小孩的志愿是长大以后要当兽医，觉得好像只有跟猫狗玩耍就可以赚到钱。接着请看作者说，现实并非如此，兽医的工作并不简单。请看前一句 It's a challenging profession 这个部分，意思是这项职业充满挑战，需要努力和奉献。而后一句说 However their duties 这个部分，意思是他们的职责还包含更具挑战性的任务，像是对动物实施安乐死和处理虐待动物的案件。我们从前后文可以看出来，这几句都是在告诉读者兽医的工作内容。4个选项当中，第一最适合 Most people are aware that 这个部分，意思是多数人都知道兽医要诊断动物疾病， 为动物注射疫苗和执行手术。后面紧接着说，但他们的职责不止这些，还包括点。所以再说一次，第一题正确答案选 D。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about a profession that some of our listeners out there might be considering. You know, as you get finished with high school and maybe start to think about college or university, you might be thinking, oh, what do I want to do with my life? What profession sounds really interesting? Well, here's one to consider, and it's not as easy as some people in Taiwan might have expected. It's got some challenging parts to it as well. Remember, when you're taking care of sick animals, they're not at their best. Some of them probably try to bite the vet because the vet is probably touching a part of their body that hurts. And if an animal is hurting and you touch them, they go after you. Whether you're an owner or, they don't know you at all, they will try to protect themselves. So it's a tough job. They also have to euthanize animals that can't be healed or will never recover. And they also have to deal with cases of animal abuse, which is hard to see. You see some animals being brought in that have been tortured by, somebody, maybe their owners, but, it makes me crazy when I see abused animals.
But we left off before we took a break there by asking the question, so what does it take to pursue a career in the veterinary field? Yeah, what do you need? Well, here in the next paragraph it says, a vet's primary characteristic is a deep and abiding love of animals. So you have a deep love of animals. You really like them. You really hope they can be healthy and be happy and things like that. And it's also an abiding love of animals. Abiding here just means lasting a long time. So basically you loved animals when you were a kid, you love them now, and you will continue to love them in the future.
Hopefully, right? So they have these things that are expected to be seen in people who want to take up this profession. Now, veterinarians need compassion. If you have compassion, you deal with people who are sad, who are hurting, who are maybe depressed or have experienced tragedy in their lives. You're there to help them get through that. You can kind of understand how they're feeling. Well, they need compassion because they have to deal with these injured animals. And here it says, anxious pet owners. So I've known a lot of anxious pet owners, and they kind of go a little bit crazy when their pets are not feeling well. Oh, I had a friend in New York who lost her cat.
Oh, no.
That she'd had for a while, and she took a month off work.
Really? Yeah, some people get very attached to their animals.
It's true, and you have to respect that,
Yep, sometimes they tell you that their cat died, and you can say, well, sometimes these things happen. But that might not be the right thing to say. No. Oh, I'm so sorry for you.
No.
You have my sympathy and things like that. But yes, indeed, we have these anxious pet owners. They're very close to their pets, so the veterinarians have to deal with that. And they also require a keen eye for detail and steady hands when examining animals. Okay, so here, a keen eye just means you're very perceptive. You can see little changes. You can see little details and things like that. You can have a great amount of enthusiasm as well if you're keen on something.
You have a keen interest, right, in something, yeah.
Exactly. I'm keen on going to the movies this weekend. That means you really want to. And here we're talking about a keen eye for detail. You can notice lots of details so you don't misdiagnose the animal and it dies and the owners get really angry at you and they try to sue you and stuff like that. So you have to know what you're doing.
So alongside this, or in combination with these things, veterinarians must maintain their vast knowledge of many different species biology. Just being in the science field, you kind of have to keep up with research, know what's going. Doctors, human doctors, that is, they should be, checking out all the latest publications that are posting the latest research so that they can keep learning. Science changes all the time, so you have to kind of keep up to date. And that's what this says here. Science is constantly evolving, changing over time. So veterinarians need a strong work ethic. You can't be lazy, people, because you have to keep your skills up to date.
Yep, you have to keep in practice, as we often say. They have to keep up with their journals. And here in the next paragraph it says, there are many challenges that must also be considered. A challenge, of course, is something difficult that you have to face. And people do like challenges in their jobs. It engages you. You can use your own resources. You can have a sense of accomplishment when you're successful with what you need to do. That's something that you won't find in boring jobs, like if you're a clerk or something.
Right.
I got respect for clerks, of course, but still, those jobs can be quite mundane, and there probably aren't a lot of challenges in those jobs. So yes, indeed, there are lots of challenges with being a veterinarian. And the first hurdle is actually getting into a veterinary program. A hurdle is something you need to jump over. In a race, for example, the hurdles, the 400-meter hurdles, or there are various different races.
Yep.
And in this particular case, we're talking about a hurdle being an obstacle or something that gets in your way. Kind of a big challenge, something you have to, get over. So here we have the first hurdle, and that's actually being accepted into a veterinary program. It's easier said than done.
It's true. I was really shocked to learn from our author here that there are only 4 universities that even offer a veterinarian program if you want to study to become a vet someday. So just getting into that program would be really tough because you have to, test at a certain level. So the limited spaces make it incredibly difficult to even start your journey. And of course, you need that education before you can become a vet. Now, after completing your program, your studies, you've graduated, you've got your diploma, then you must go and become licensed by your government. They have to approve of your ability to start working as a vet. And the license examination, a lot of different professions have a licensing exam. For example, if you want to practice law, if you want to be a doctor and treat other people, not animals, but people, you must pass a licensing exam. And it says here that the vet's exam is notoriously difficult. Notoriously is a word we use when something is well known or famous for being bad or being a criminal or being evil, notorious, and a notorious gangster. But here it's just notoriously difficult. People talk about it and they all say, oh my gosh, it's so hard. It's a horrible exam.
Indeed, so it's very difficult, and in 2022, the pass rate was only 47.22%. That's kind of difficult, and the challenges don't end there. There are more hurdles to overcome. Low salaries, long hours, and rude or abusive pet owners all await veterinarians after they become qualified. If something awaits you, that's what's waiting for you. You're going to have to deal with that eventually. So when you become a veterinarian, you won't be able to avoid this. You'll have long hours. You won't get a lot of money, at least not at the beginning. And, of course, we've got abusive pet owners who will probably argue with you and they won't respect you.
We don't always use await the same way we use wait for. So be careful. I'm not going to say, I'm at the movie theater awaiting my friends. I guess you could say it. It's not wrong. It just sounds very formal and stuffy. So we wait for our friends, but something awaits you. We use it in writing more often. For the final paragraph, it says, the different specialties within veterinary sciences, such as wildlife and livestock, they're completely different fields, and you would study different kinds of animals, obviously, give veterinarians many exciting career paths to explore. There's not just one way for you to go. A career with animals can be wonderfully rewarding. It makes you feel good about life. You feel good about going to work every day. And if you are passionate, the hardship is worth it. Everyone experiences hardship in life. It just means suffering from something. Maybe you have a lot of hardship in your life because you've lost your family members, or maybe you have a job and you're going to get fired. That increases the hardship that you have to experience. But it says here the hardship's worth it.
Indeed, you might be able to specialize and make more money that way. So, yes, indeed, do consider becoming a veterinarian as a possible career choice. And that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. Let's listen now to our Chinese teacher.
第一题答完之后，我们接着请看第二题。不过呢，要再稍微倒退看一下第一段最后一句提到，想当兽医到底需要满足哪些条件？第二题的部分，前文提到，兽医的主要特征是对动物要有深厚而持久的爱。兽医在处理受伤的动物和焦急的宠物主人时，需要具有同情心。而后面一句则说，除此之外，兽医必须保持对许多不同物种的生物相关学识有广泛的了解。文句的一致性很重要，写文章不同论点不要跳来跳去。既然这里是在说想当兽医到底需要符合哪些条件，具备哪些特质，那么为了保持文思脉络连贯，第二题呢，我们选 A。They also require a keen eye for detail 这个部分，意思是在诊查动物的时候，他们还需要对细节有敏锐的观察力，以及平稳的双手。紧接着，请看第三题，请先注意这一段文章以主题句为段落开头，提到想当兽医要面对很多挑战，都需要考虑进去。首先要考上兽医系，前一句提到在台湾只有4所大学开设兽医课程，后一句是完成学业后必须获得执照，执照考试又是出了名的难。可以推测空格在延续讨论第一项挑战，也就是要考得上兽医系。考量前后文连贯，因此第三题我们选 C， 意思是录取名额有限，使得迈向兽医的旅程极其困难。接下来兽医系毕业后要通过证照考试，可是又出了名的难考。2022年的合格率不过 47.22%， 但是挑战不仅止于此。紧接着请看第四题，这里当然要按照时间顺序来判断，先是要考上兽医系，大学毕业后还要通过证照考试，所以接下来应该是实际工作时在工作上要面对的挑战。因此第四题选 B， Low salaries, long hours, and rude or abusive pet owners all await veterinarians after they become qualified。这句话的意思是薪资低、工时长，有时候又会遇到宠物主人粗鲁无礼，甚至于这些主人曾经虐待动物等等，这些都可能在符合兽医资格之后，这些合格的兽医正式职业就会一一的遇到以上所说的挑战。好了，以上就是我们对这篇篇章结构练习题的讲解。老师希望同学透过练习，对于答题的技巧会更加熟悉。谢谢。
That's it for today. Thanks so much for joining us. And if you do choose a career in veterinary medicine, we wish you the best of luck. From all of us here at English Digest, my name is Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.